Welcome to the Space Dragon Guild and this book series review. In this video, we'll explore my favorite books and why I like them so much. But before we get into that, here's what I don't like. Although the Stormlight Archive starts out very strong, it falls flat. The author didn't know when to stop building. Even after two 500,000-word books, the author was still adding main characters. The King's Dark Tidings also started out very strong, and then it died. The author clearly didn't know where they were taking the characters or the plot. Book 1 in the Stormweaver series was one of my favorite books of all time. Book 2 was one of my least favorite books of all time. The author needs to know that not everything that comes out of his pen is pure gold. Pointless emotions and political plugs is not what I like in my entertainment. Now that you know what I dislike, let's look at my top 10 favorite book series. Number 10. The Backyard Starship series is playful and entertaining. It's comparable to a really good TV show you just can't stop watching. Each chapter is an episode, each book is a season, and the story is more or less continuous. The story is funny, but more than that, the writing is creative, the imagery is beautiful. If you'd like a story where a man inherits a spaceship from his grandfather and becomes a space cop, you'd like this series. Number 9. The Beginning After the End is a fantasy story about two magical worlds that come together through magically induced reincarnation. Our hero is a legend in his own world and is brought to this new world at its greatest need. The author truly grows throughout this series. While he starts out good and entertaining, he quickly becomes fabulous and engaging. His world is broad, but not too broad. His writing is clean with some minor exclamations. Elves, dwarves, dragons, basilisks, wondrous magic and adventure. What's not to love? Number 8. The Aldoran Chronicles is another great fantasy read. This series has an amazing system of magic and engaging characters. This action-packed story has ancient wizards, mysterious failings, skilled warriors, and cool magical powers. This author's building an epic fantasy and is in it for the long haul. Part of why this series is so good is because it includes a companion series of prequels. I have it listed as number 8 because a few of the books are a tad predictable and the plots may be overused. Still, it's one of my favorite series and I'm looking forward to finishing it. Number 7. The Spiral Wars takes you to amazing alien worlds that feel real. Strange alien species, new cultures, new spaceships, ancient political societies, and epic large-scale battles both in space and on planet. The author put a lot of time and thought into the science behind his writing and came up with the Galactic Conquest Saga. The story has a slow start, but don't be fooled. Soon you'll be reading about sci-fi bank heists, snatch and grabs, epic space battles, bunker busts, rescue operations, and so much more. One small warning, it does contain some military language. Don't miss this amazing story. Number 6. The Black Fleet Saga is a traditional military sci-fi and one of the best. The tech and spaceships are well thought out, the space battles are engaging, and the character development is superb. But as in all great military sci-fi, the action is start to finish. It's odd, but the compact 8-hour reads feel like full-fledged epic fantasies. I guarantee you will not regret reading the Black Fleet Saga. Number 5. If the Black Fleet Saga is one of the best military sci-fis for ship-to-ship combat, then the Wayward Galaxy series is by far the best military sci-fi when it comes to boots on the ground. If there was an award for most anti-communist book series, Wayward Galaxy would get it. The premise of this series is that the galaxy is breaking down and there are dozens of different factions at different technological levels. One of the main characters is an AI battlebot with ADHD that only communicates using 1980s action movie lines. This series is awesome. Number 4. The Last Horizon. You always know you're reading a good book when you're exploring a genre that's not your usual cup of tea and still loving it. The Last Horizon is just that. It's a quirky sci-fi fantasy with an almost anime feel to the scene description. 99% of why I like the book so much is that Will White, the author, is an absolute genius when it comes to character development. The main character in this story is a wizard who uses a spell allowing him to live 7 separate lives in 7 alternate realities all in one instant. Using his newfound experience, he then attempts to rescue the galaxy from calamities foreseen in his other lives. In order to accomplish this, he finds a magical starship and fills it with a crew of super powerful warriors. This story is all about having a wand in one hand and a blaster in the other. 2 books down, and the series has potential to go to fantastic places. Number 3. I've read Dawn of Wonder at least 10 times, and it's been my favorite book for many years. However, the author's taken a long time to get the sequel out. This will probably be the final year I include it in my top 10. So why have I stuck with this book so long? The author is obsessed with realistic depictions of events. He wanted to know what it was like to do hand-to-hand combat, so he took the class. He wanted to know what it was like to live in a snowy tundra, so he did it. Hopefully I will not be disappointed, and the sequel will come out very soon. Number 2. The Will of Many has such creative characters, is set in such a fantastic setting, and has such a creative plot, it is quickly becoming my favorite book of all time. Even though there's only 1 book released in the series, it's so good it still makes number 2. Imagine a story set in 1st century Rome with a magic system that's based on a pyramid scheme. This setting could almost be described as a sandalpunk genre. The magic system is based on individuals ceding a portion of their will to their superiors. This means the societal leaders possess the will of millions of people, and it grants them enormous strength and the ability to imbue objects with abnormal functions. Follow a banished prince as he tries to survive and battle injustice. Number 1. I know we already looked at One Will White series, but not only does he write well, he also writes fast. Cradle started out as a newsletter promo series, but in the end, Will White enjoyed writing it so much he decided to release it on Amazon for 99 cents. Book 1 sold 8,000 copies in its first month. Book 7 and on made number 1 in the Kindle store. Book 9 made him a New York Times bestseller. The 2 things that make this series so awesome is creativity and character development. The story begins with a young man who is an outcast for his inability to use the sacred arts. Everything changes in this young man's life when a deity visits from the heavens and shows him a coming calamity. This event spurs our young hero to work harder than anyone ever has, proving that there is no substitute for hard work when it comes to advancing in the sacred arts. Along his meteoric rise, he collects worthy companions and even attracts the attention of other deities. This story has 2 overarching plot threads. The first is a local calamity which our young hero must prevent. The second is a galaxy-wide calamity which the deities must prevent. The interaction between gods and mortals leads to the realization that anyone can become immortal if they work hard enough, and that is exactly what our young hero decides to do. The story includes incredible settings, the most diverse magic system of which I've ever read, strange sacred beasts, humorous spirits, deities with ADHD, and epic magic battles. Read or listen to this series and I guarantee you'll be hooked for life. I hope you enjoyed this top 10 in fiction series review. We'll catch you next time.